Well, hey everyone, welcome to my class on using Storyline's media library like a pro. Now, I know what you're thinking, hold on, a whole class just on the media library? Yes, and here's why. When your project's small, finding what you need is easy. In a lot of ways, media library is a lot like StoryView. There's not much to look at when you're just getting started. But as your project grows, staying organized becomes so much tougher, and that's exactly when the media library becomes so important. So let's do this. We'll kick things off with something simple, something easy and essential, and that's just opening and getting around Storyline's media library. So let's do this. I'm in StoryView right here, and I'm working on an existing project. So you have three different ways that you can launch media library. Probably first and probably most common would be to come up here to the View tab up here on the ribbon, choose View, and then there you go. You have media library. So pop that open and you can see all of your media. Now the media is grouped by tabs. So right now I'm on the video tab, and if I come up here to the first tab, you have images, and you can see all the images in your course. You have characters, if you have any characters already inserted. You also can expand this little drop down right here, and you can view all of the poses for a particular character. Now I have 4 characters and each one only has one pose, but if I had multiple, you just see those down here from underneath that drop down. You also have audio tab for any audio that you've recorded, inserted, AI generated audio, all of that's under the audio tab, and then the video tab. So that's how you can find and launch media library. Now another way you can launch, and this is a little bit lesser known, and that is, let's just open a slide here real quick. And that is, you can select any asset in your course. That can be an audio file, a video file, an image file. Just right click on that and choose down here, Show in Media Library. Now this is super helpful when you have an asset, in this case an image, and you're not really sure where it is in the media library. I've got quite a few images in here already, but by opening a media library, it'll automatically take you to that particular file. So that's another way that you can find and launch media library. I'm going to press Escape. Little bonus tip right here. Anytime you press Escape now in Storyline, it'll close any pop-up windows that you have. And the third and final way that you can launch media library is by the Insert tab. So anytime you insert an asset, an image, a video, or audio, you can launch media library that way. So if I wanted to pull open a picture, down here in the drop down, I have media library, and that's going to open up media library. Now this is a little bit different than what we saw before, because notice how the image tab is selected, yet the other tabs are grayed out and they're not accessible. And that's because we chose media images. And so from here I could insert any image onto my slide, just select it, and then just choose Insert, and then there's the image. All right, now that you know how to launch media library, we're ready to load it up with some assets, and we'll do that in the next lesson. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the good stuff, getting and importing your assets, your media, into media library. So here are just a few ways that you can quickly get your media into media library so it's ready to go on the slide. Okay, I'm starting here in StoryView, and I have a fresh project. I think that might just make it easier to see media library. So I'm going to open up the slide so I can insert some media here. But before I insert an image or audio or video, I'm going to choose to open up media library so you can see how this happens in real time. So from the View tab, media library, and there it is. Not much to look at. I'm just going to move it off to the side here. Now the neat thing is with media library is you can keep it open while you're working. So you can see I still have access to all of my tabs and all of my triggers, and that's really helpful if you have a bunch of assets in the media library that you're working from. I don't have anything yet, so let's go ahead and add some. So anytime I insert any images or audio files or video, it doesn't matter if they come from content library, from my desktop, or even AI generated images, it's going to automatically add it to the slide as well as media library. So let's just get a picture from file, say picture from file. Yeah, and then I have all of my images right here. I can just select one. I can hold down the Shift key and select multiple. This is just Storyline basics, right? We're adding images to our slide. I'll just grab the cyclist, choose Open, and that's going to add the graphic, the image here to my slide, but it's also now available in media library. And this is true, again, for audio and video files and even content library. So if I were maybe to insert a video from content library, we'll say Office, and 3 people right there, looks good. I'll choose Insert, and we won't see it added here until we go to the Video tab. So did it add it? There it is. And over here under video tab, you can see we have the item right there. So that's how probably most folks are working. You're selecting an image, bringing a graphic in, audio file, and it automatically adds it to Media Library. Now, here's what's also neat. If I record any audio directly into Storyline, so if I were to come up to the Insert tab and I'm recording some audio, say maybe some either text-to-speech, or I'm recording my microphone, let's say starting in 2 seconds, and here's a quick audio file. That sounds great. I'll click stop, and then I'll save. So anything like that from images, video, or audio files automatically adds it to Media Library. Now, you also have a few other options, and this is a really powerful way right here, and that is to do bulk importing of your assets. A lot of designers like to pre-populate Media Library with all of their assets before they even get started. Now, it assumes that you already have those assets identified and they're all ready to go. Sometimes you don't have those until you get to the next slide or the next scene, and then you have to go and either create or source those graphics. But here, if I come up here to the top right corner, I've got this import option, and I can choose import, picture from file, content libraries, or generate image with AI. The benefit from doing it this way from picture from file, if I select that, is I can select a bunch of images at once and get those images available to me anytime I need them in my course development. So I can just select all the images, choose open. It's not going to insert those on the slide. You can see that they're all brought in, and I only have 0. The use case right here is set to 0, which means they're not in use, but they are available to me in Media Library. So that's a fantastic way to work. I actually really like it with audio. If you already have your narration recorded, maybe you recorded it outside of Storyline using Audition or Audacity, and you want to bring all those audio files in at once, or maybe even some sound effects, say import, and we'll say audio from file. And we have our Media Library, assets, actually back here, Media Library, sound effects, and maybe some button and navigation sounds. So I want to just bring all of those in, some UI sound effects, some quiz sounds, choose open, and they're all going to be available to me whenever I need them, even though they're not going to be in use. Now, there's the last way that's really neat, and if you haven't tried this in a while, I have to tell you this is probably one of my most favorite or most efficient ways to do that, and you can actually drag and drop files directly into Media Library. So let me get out of Images, and I'm going to bring open Windows Explorer here. There we go. And let's come into Assets, and I'll say Images, since they're easy to drag, and I'll bring Media Library over here. There we go. And I can select a bunch of images, and look at this. I can just drag them right in there, and they're immediately available to me within Media Library. Now, here's really neat for you Mac users, myself included, is that you can actually drag these over from Finder as well. So if I came in here under Assets, or let's say Videos, come over to my Video tab, open that window, and I want to bring videos or anything over, I can actually drag them from my Mac side into Storyline's Media Library now. So the drag and drop functionality is there, it's available, and it's a super efficient way to get your Media Library loaded up. All right, and just like that, the assets are loaded. I have them available to me as I need them. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to quickly organize your assets so you can quickly find exactly what you need. All right, so organization is everything, and the bigger your project gets, the organization becomes that much more important. So the faster you can find what you need, it's just that much easier to get things done. So in this lesson, I'll show you some ways that you can rename, sort, filter, and quickly track down the assets you need. So here's how this works. So I'm starting back here in my project with a lot of assets in here. This is an older project. So I'm going to begin by opening up Media Library. So View and then Media Library. And let's go into Images because that's where the biggest mess is. Now, the one thing to consider is naming your images. Now, whatever your naming strategy is, that's it's very personal. It's up to you. However, there's some things you can do to make this a lot easier to find. So first off, fries. That tells me what I need to know about this one. However, I know that if I come down here, well, first off, I can see this is fries and it's being used 4 times. I just know that this is part of an icon series, so I'm going to say uses, and now I can sort by how many times the graphic has been used. So here I can quickly get in here and find the related graphics, and I just happen to know that these are related. Now this is fine, the naming convention, coffee, Sunday, and so on, but one naming strategy might be to use a common prefix so that these always appear alphabetically in order. So maybe I would come in here and I would call this icon dash, and I can just maybe select this real quick, Control C to copy. And then I can rename just by clicking in here once to select it and get that active selection field for my text, and then continue placing that for each of these graphics as a prefix. Using a common prefix really makes it easy to find those graphics. It also helps you identify those particular images if you're searching. So if you look up top, we have search images, and if I typed in icon, those 3 icons that I just renamed are now all grouped here together. I don't have to search for coffee by itself, fries, and so on. So I'm kind of creating categories here for each of these graphics, because the search is only going to search the file name, and the search will also find internal notes. What are internal notes? We'll look right next here, over here next to the alt text, we have internal notes. A lot of folks don't take advantage of this. And here's a use case of where I think this is really helpful. I'm going to click name, and I'll sort by name again. So I have a lot of iStock images. I like iStock, had a subscription, and these are from the subscription, but this name doesn't tell me anything right here, right? I can see that it's a cyclist, but this name isn't really helpful from a course development perspective. So what I might consider doing is just selecting this, clicking once in there to select it, press Control C to copy it, and I'm going to paste that over here in the notes. So this time I'm using the notes really as sort of a content management or asset management, meaning if I rename this file, then there's really no way for me to know this came from iStock. So if I ever needed to go locate this, maybe I needed a different version of it, or I needed to account for, hey, I purchased this image, placing that name in the notes is a fantastic strategy. And then I could come in here and then, give this a name, cyclist on busy street or something, right? And that might really be helpful there. I could also look at using and moving these around by their scene or chapter name. So another idea would be, here's my iStock image. I'm going to click in here, Control C to copy it. I'm going to add that to my internal notes so I have a reference of what that original image was. But now notice when I select this though, down here in the bottom, and we'll talk about use case and how we can identify these images a little bit more in a future lesson. But right here, I can see that this is part of healthy habits. And so that's a chapter, a whole chapter on healthy habits, which is, if I come in my scene right here, let's just see if I jump back into story view, healthy habits. So there's a lot of different images here on each of the slide layers, right? So I can see those different images. So one thing I could also consider doing is just giving this a prefix of healthy habits. So that tells me that that's going to be potentially the slide or scene number, and then this is I don't know, veggies or something. Veggies, that's probably totally fine, right? It just tells me it's got some veggies. But that's another naming strategy for identifying the images to make them very easy to find. I like the common prefix. That's a really easy way to kind of group related images. You could also group by the scene name. So again, I'd maybe just grab healthy habits. And let's find one of these other images. If I select this image, right click and choose Show in Media Library. Now, a lot of times you may not do this when you're just getting started. So there's that image. So I'll say, let's copy this one, Control C, paste it in over there. And then I'll say Healthy Habits, just to give it another prefix here, habits, and then man running with dog. So now whenever I want to find all of the images that are on a current slide or scene, depending on how I name them, I can just use the search field right here, healthy habit, and then those two come up right there for me. You also have the option here, again, this is something I think a lot of folks overlook. If you look in the top right corner, we can search by project or by scene or current slide. I think most times we're just searching by the project. However, depending on the size of your project and how many graphics you're working with, it might make more sense to narrow those search results right there for either scene or with slide. But I'll keep that set to entire project. All right, lastly, I'm going to come out of here. The other thing I'm searching for a lot of times is dimensions. So sometimes if things don't look right on the slide, maybe you have a really low resolution version of it. So I can see right here, these are quite large at 2048 by 1367. But if I come down here, I can start seeing that I have some really low res graphics. These are just icons, which might make more sense. However, sometimes that really helps finding, oh, this shouldn't be such a low res image if I'm displaying it in a large pop-up or something. And then the other thing I'm looking for is use count. So a lot of times you'll get a bunch of use count images that don't have any uses, and those might just be because you loaded up Media Library with some future assets. However, at the end of the project, before I turn over the project to clients or before I share a demo, unless these are going to be used later, I might come in here and just select those and delete those so that I only have images that are in use. That's really a personal preference, but it's kind of like having a bunch of extra slides in your slide master that aren't being used. Sometimes it just makes it easier to clean it up. So I could select those and then just come down here to the delete and remove those images from my media library. And then you also have the date modified. This can tell you a little bit about the image. Sometimes the image was edited 2 years ago, but you just inserted it. So it's going to show that insertion date rather than when it was officially edited. So sometimes this is a little bit more helpful than others, but you can at least see when the images were modified to give you an idea if it's helping you, possibly help you find what you're looking for. All right, yep, I get it. Labeling and organizing takes a bit of upfront time, but the payoff is always worth it, especially when you're in crunch time. But just taking that time, whether it's as you develop or maybe even little breaks every week or a couple days, just going through Media Library, cleaning it up a little bit, add some of those custom prefixes for your terms, or even documenting the images you get from stock photo sites. All right, next up, we're going to look at ways to insert and especially reuse those assets throughout your course. All right, so here's the good stuff, actually getting media from our library into our slides quickly. I'll show you a couple of different ways to do this, but my favorite is just popping the media library open once, leaving it off to the side, second monitor or off to the side, and then easily dropping images, videos, or audio clips across your slides and always having it available. All right, so I'm here in my project again. I've got a blank slide. I want to develop this. Just double click this to open. And this is probably the most common way that we're inserting files from our media library, and that is to come up to the Insert tab on the ribbon and choose the type of media. So I have my pictures, and I can open up Media Library this way. This is going to be the same process for video and for audio. So if I wanted to do video from Media Library, and then as well as audio from Media Library. But I want to add an image, so I'll say Picture, Media Library, and let's search for an image. I have my cyclist. There's that search. Select the image and go ahead and insert it on the tab on the slide. So as soon as I insert the image, notice how Media Library goes away, and I've got my image already inserted right here. Now I can also insert multiple images, so I could come back up here and say, let's say Insert, and we'll do audio this time. So Audio, Media Library, and maybe I want to bring in a couple different audio clips, so I could grab one of my button effects or my narration. I could just hold down the Shift key or the Control key and select the audio files or image files or video files I want, so I can put multiple in at one time, which is super efficient if you know that you maybe have some sound effects, some narration, and so on. So that's how you can insert multiple files. But notice again, as soon as I insert those files, Media Library closes and assumes I want to get back to work. So another way of working is by just keeping the Media Library open and then inserting the assets as you need them. So here's what I would do. Go to the View tab, and we'll bring open Media Library. And when we open it this way, notice we also have access to all 4 tabs, and we can move this. We could put this off on a second monitor. I only have one monitor here, but this will remain persistent while I'm working. So if I didn't want this image right here, I could just scoot Media Library open, come down, find the image that I want, insert it. I could jump to another slide real quick. Maybe I didn't want this image in there, and I can delete it and continue bringing in my images on the slide this way. This is a very efficient way of working. I also like this way. Now I don't have a lot of audio narration here, but what you might have, and a lot of designers set their slides up this way, where the audio might have something like slide 1, right, as a common prefix, and then you have another one that says slide 2. So I'm just going to name these real quick just to kind of set this up, right? So slide 1, slide 2. And then as you're starting to, you brought all the audio in together, maybe you recorded them all together, you could jump in on slide 1, select that audio file right there, insert it, worry about all the syncing and everything later. We jump to the next slide, slide 2. Well, actually, it would be this one, and I'll say slide 2. Insert that audio, and you can populate all of your slides quickly with those audio files or image files. It's a very fast way of working because you're really being efficient. You're kind of grouping the common tasks of development by inserting images, inserting graphics, inserting logos, whatever it is you're doing. But by keeping the media library open, and especially if you have a second screen, you have that much more room. Just move it off to the side, off to the side, and you always have access to it. Again, I don't want to cover up my triggers and everything, but you notice how media library is open, and it doesn't impact any of my other working. I still have it access available for me, and I don't have to close it each time I want to work. All right, well, that's really it. Just keeping that media library open while you work, and then insert the images straight from there. It saves a lot of extra clicking. You think about how often you go up to the insert picture, media library, video, audio, and so on, and it automatically closes the media library. Here you just keep it open and insert the media as you need it. Super efficient way of working, and it's always there. It's always there for you as you build your slides. All right, so here's a neat trick you might have missed, and that is in the media library, Storyline lets you zoom and pan around your images right there in the media library. So what's really cool about this is you can resize the pane on the fly. So whether you're making room for your notes or you just want a bigger view of your image, you can do all that right here in media library. So let me show you how this works. So let's go ahead and open up media library. So we'll go to View, Media Library. Now, a lot of times we hear from folks that they don't see the image so well. Maybe it's a bigger image and they just can't really tell what that image is. So they'll insert the picture. I need to be on a slide. They'll insert the image on a slide just so they can see it. But check this out. If I move my cursor right over the image, I can pan all around the image. Now, that may not give you everything you need. So what I could do, notice how the little magnifying glass has that plus icon. If I click that, I get a full view of the image right here. I don't have to insert it on my slide before deciding if that's the image or the version I want, especially if you have more complex graphics. Now, here's something else that's really neat. Depending on what you're working on, if you're, again, maybe I need to add that iStock here to my internal notes and I want a little bit more room, I could bring this up, give myself more room for alt text or the notes, or if I'm previewing my image, I can bring that down. I could also resize my media library to get a much larger view right there of that graphic. Again, depending on what I'm working on, maybe I want some more, a little bit more space for my notes, or I want some more space for the image. And again, I can just move that cursor around and get a better look at all of the details in the image without having to insert it each time. All right, that's it. Just a quick zoom, pan, or resize, and you've got all the details right there without ever having to leave media library. All right, so this next one is probably one of my favorite tips, and I use this all the time. It's a total speed boost tip, and that is Storyline has a jump to location feature in the media library that'll instantly show you everywhere that an asset appears in your course. So no more digging around through slides or slide layers, slide masters. One click and you can immediately find what you're looking for. So here's how it works. We just go to View, open up Media Library, and then we have this column right here for uses. So I can see right now if I sort by uses, I have 3 images that aren't even being used in my course. I have these character graphics that are only used once. Now these characters, real quick, are images. They're not characters, right? The actual characters from the character library would be inserted here. And if I wanted to find out where one of these characters was, select it, and then right down here, I can see where this character is being used. She's being used on slide 1.16, and you even have a path right there. And if I click the little right arrow, I can see it's also on the same slide. So it's actually just a selected state. So it's actually showing me where the character is within a specific state. So if I click the jump to location, it'll take me to that place in the course. I don't even know where this is. And there it is. I can see that particular character is there on the selected state. And then the other instance of that character, most likely, is right here on the normal state. So if I click that, there's the normal state. So that was pretty easy. But we might have images with multiple uses. So if I sort by uses, I've got this icon heart. This is being used 6 times throughout the course. I can just come down here and see all the different locations that that icon, the particular icon's being used. It's on 1.2. You can scroll through. Looks like it's all on the same slide, but there is also a quiz to finish slide. So what is that? Click the jump to location and bring that down. And there it is. So it's also in a state right there. So it's a fast way to quickly identify everywhere that a particular graphic is being used. So I have this surfer couple, two different uses, 1.2 on the main menu, and then again 1.9 under healthy habits. Click the icon, and we are immediately at that image. So also helpful because sometimes when we're building courses, maybe we're reusing an image too much, right? Maybe it's just getting used and it's just because you had a bunch of images and that's just what you went and used. It also can help you identify, why am I using this image twice? Is that important? Maybe it is, it probably is, but you can see the different uses and maybe make a decision that maybe a different image should be swapped out that way. But the jump to location, just a fantastic way to quickly find what you need and where, most importantly, where it's located within your course. Okay, if you enjoy spending your whole afternoon manually updating the same images, graphics, whatever across every single slide, then this probably isn't the tip for you. But if you'd rather get your job done quickly and still make it home on time, Storyline makes swapping out images, audio clips, or videos super easy. So let me show you exactly how this works, and also so you can understand the difference between the two. All right, let's go ahead and just open up Media Library. So we'll say View, Media Library. And I have an image of some woods that are in here, and I want to update this. Now here's the thing. If I make an update here, let's say I replace this image right here with something else, and I use Media Library to do this, it's going to replace both instances right here. So you can see it's in two different places. If I come down here, I can see it's on Q1.4 and it's also on Q1.6. If I replace this image here, it's going to replace it across the entire course. So everywhere this image is being used, I'm going to replace it with Media Library. So I just come down here to replace, picture from file, and let's find that image here in my images. Should be under woods. Where did it go? There it is, woods new. So this is going to replace all instances of the image. So from Media Library, it's super efficient. Just click open, and that's going to replace the image woods-new, and it's now in both locations in my course. If I click any one of these, I'll jump me to the location, and I can see where that image has been updated, in this case in the background. Now notice though, because the aspect ratio is a little bit different, I may need to come in here and resize it. That's possible depending on if your replacement graphic was a different size or aspect ratio. So you still may want to verify that it's all set and correct. Actually, I might just minimize this a little bit. Now let's say that you didn't want to replace all instances of an image. Let's see, we have some use cases right here with some images in two different places. I've got the yoga lady right here. So she's actually in three different places in the course. Let's say I just wanted to replace maybe this first one. You know, I've got two other examples, 1.4 and then 2.2. We'll do the resources. So I'll just jump to that location. If you only want to replace a single instance of an image, you're going to do that at the slide level. So I don't need Media Library for it right here. Instead, what I would do is come in here and replace picture. I don't think I have a image in the library, so I could say generate with AI, and let's just say AI, not an AI studio, yoga studio vacant, right? Maybe there's no one in there, generate the image. So whether I replace it from an image from file, or I generate one, or bring it in from content library, when I insert this one now, replace it, it's only replacing that particular instance. So if I come back up here, I now have yoga lady in two instances, not three. So single image replacement, you're going to do that at the slide level. You could still use Media Library to locate where that particular instance is. In this case, right, I still have two different instances of that yoga. If I wanted to replace another one, I could just go to one of the locations. But if I want to replace only a single instance of the image, I do that at the slide level. But from the Media Library, replacing the instance all at once makes so much sense, especially if you have icons that are being updated. So if I were to replace this with a different heart icon, everywhere that image appears, it's going to be updated. So a lot of times I just like working from Media Library for all of this type of production work, it's a lot easier to kind of knock out all those different replacements or updates rather than having to jump into the slide or slide layers each time to make those changes. But just keep in mind, the big difference here is that when you want to replace a single instance of an object, whether it's audio, video, or image, you do need to go into the slide to do that. If you want to replace all instances, just do it in Media Library. It's one click and it's all replaced throughout your course. All right, in this tip, we'll look at accessibility, tasks like adding alt text and managing closed captions in the Media Library. And Media Library makes this really easy to first and foremost identify what alt text or captions are missing, and then quickly generate or add the captions. So let me show you how it works right here. So let's do this. I'm going to pull open Media Library. So we'll go to View again, and can you guess where? Media Library. And we'll look at audio first. So what you'll have is this column right here that tells you which audio files have captions and which ones do not. Now you could jump into any one of these that have the caption and review them. So you could just select it. I can already see the captions are here. And then come down here to the captions, and I can choose to do a few things like edit the captions, replace them, export them, or if I have AI Assistant subscription, I could generate new captions right now. And then for the examples that do not have captions, again, same options. I can add the captions. If I click add, it's going to take me right here to the captions editor. Storyline will automatically generate the placeholder for you. And so you could add them by listening to the audio and type them out, or if you have AI Assistant, you can quickly generate them right here within the closed captions editor. Now what I really like right here, I'm going to close out of here, is if you do have AI Assistant, you could just work from right here within Media Library and knock all of these out in one window. So I'll just click Generate Captions, and it tells me that my captions are temporarily processed by a third party, and right now they're being generated. So while that's happening, I could go on to the next one and start generating those as well. Say yes. Now, I'm still going to want to go back and verify these. I don't want to just assume that these are perfect and exact, although they are pretty good, but I would want to go back in and review those. So you can still see right here that they're being generated. We have a little animation going on right there. And then the same thing for videos. If I go into my video tab, this first video right here, I know this doesn't need captions. But if I wasn't sure, like, wait, what's happening in here? Again, I could just jump to the location and pull this open. This is actually, I think, inside of a marker. Yeah, so it's just an animation of, just an animated video of a bike riding through the woods. So I know that there's no audio or there's no reason for captions, but I still may want to add some alt text here to at least describe what's happening. So I could use this to type in my own. I could generate alt text as well, right, using AI Assistant. But managing all of this, because a lot of times when we're working, we're not going into every slide. We don't want to lose time adding alt text or captions if we don't even know the customer is going to accept those final media, right? They may swap them out, and then you've lost all that time adding alt text. So it tends to work best, at least personally, a little bit later in the project when you know things are kind of a little bit more ironed out, or at least they've been approved at some level, and you just know that those images are less likely to change. Now, speaking of images, this is really helpful here as well, because we can go through all of our graphics right here and then just quickly see if it has alt text that's being applied to the image. So this one's not even being in use, so I don't need to worry about that one right here, but I do have mountains right here, and that's just using the default alt text. So again, if I have AI Assistant, I can just generate this quickly right here within Media Library. If I didn't have AI Assistant, then I could just come in and just update that right here. But being able to tackle all of those alt text for all the images within one window makes it really, really easy. Now, a couple things though here. I'm generating alt text for these graphics. There's a couple in here as a good example, like these. These were images that were created in a graphics program and exported out. I can see right here that has does not have a useful name for alt text, but I also know that this image is not something that I'm going to enable in my screen reader. So I can't really tackle that here. Instead, what I would do is I would just click Jump to Location, go find that image, and here it is, the image. And then if I wanted to remove that from my accessibility tools like screen readers, I just come into accessibility, and I do need to remove that visibility here at the slide level. So just keep that in mind, that just because you see it right here doesn't mean that the alt text is going to be something that you need to update, but we don't have that way to remove that currently from the focus order when the screen reader is reading those elements. Now let's go back and check on our audio real quick. This is all completed. And again, what I'd want to probably do is go and look at either edit those captions. We can just pop that open and see what AI Assistant did. Click the space bar, preview the audio. If you approve it, go ahead and click approve up here, or you can continue making additional edits as well to keep those, get those captions accurate. All right, well, that's accessibility made even simpler with Media Library. So whether you're handling the alt text and the captions slide by slide as you develop, or you're kind of saving everything until the very end, Media Library is such a great way to just review everything before you hand off to your clients or publish for review. You can just tackle all those updates in a single window. All right, so sometimes you're going to need a bit more editing power than what you can do in Storyline, and that might be fine-tuning an image or graphic in Photoshop, or cleaning up audio in Audition or Audacity. The good thing here is that Storyline's Media Library lets you jump straight from Storyline into your favorite apps, make those tweaks or edits, and then seamlessly bring those changes right back into your course. It's so simple and easy. Here's how this works. So let's say this. I'm going to open up Media Library, view Media Library, and we'll just make a quick change to an image or something. And we'll just make a quick change to an image. So I've got this graphic right here. Let's say I wanted to perform some edits. And I like this tip because a lot of times what I see is users will select the image or the audio or video file, come down here to the bottom and choose export, save it to the desktop, then bring that image or audio file into their app, save it to the desktop, and then bring it back into Storyline. What we can do instead is just click the edit icon right here, and then we can open up our preferred editing app. In this case, it's a graphics app. And what's also nice, notice how I even have access to the apps on my Mac. So I'm working obviously in Parallels on running Windows in Parallels on my Mac, but I can also open up my Mac app. So I'll just say, let's open this up in Photoshop. Okay, there's the image. Let's see, I could do a lot of different things. Maybe I just want to do a quick filter here and do a pixelate. I'm going to do something that really kind of just makes it obvious that this has changed. How about a nice mosaic? There it is. I'm going to click save and close out of it and go back into my file, and look at this. Pop that open, and that image is automatically changed. I don't have to save it and then re-import it. It's automatically happening right here within Media Library. And the same thing holds true for any audio files. If you have to clean up some audio files, remove some background noise on a file, just select the file, come down here, choose edit, and you could open it up. In this case, I use Audition. Open it up, Audition, make the edits, save it, and it's immediately updated right here in Media Library. Now, real quick, the characters that you have here in Media Library, if the characters were inserted from the content library, which means they have all the poses with them, whether it's illustrated or photographic, you're not going to be able to edit those. You'll see even if I expand this right here, these characters can't be edited. So in that case, these you're just kind of using what you have. You could export a character as a PNG file and then make those edits, but then you break the connection to all the poses that are available, the poses and expressions that are in content library. But for audio and video and of course images, it's a seamless out and back type workflow where you just jump out for the heavyweight or the big edits and then bring those changes seamlessly back into your course. All right, so when you're editing media, a lot of media outside of Storyline, it's easy to lose track of what's updated and what's not. And so while you can launch and edit external apps directly from Media Library, and those are really good for one-offs, a lot of times designers will use external apps for all media. So for example, maybe they're using Audition for all of the narration. If you've got one long audio file that's 60 minutes, and then they're just saving those clips out as individual media. Or maybe in Photoshop, you've got all your layered files and you're letting the batch automation process for exporting all of those graphics as PNG files. So anyway, all content being created outside of Storyline, and you're bringing those into Media Library. Well, you may perform additional edits and then forget to bring those new versions back in to Storyline. Well, here's what's really nice is Media Library will automatically notify you with a little icon letting you know when media has been edited or changed outside of Media Library. So let me show you what this looks like. So I'm starting here in Story View, and what I want to do is just pop open Media Library, and you may have noticed a few of these icons in earlier lessons. Notice right here next to Cyclist, there's this little yellow icon right next to it. That just indicates that this has been changed outside of the original graphic that I inserted. And if you look over here in the preview pane, we also have a little yellow alert right here telling us that there is an original file that's newer. So all I need to do is just re-import that graphic right back in. I don't have to go find it. Storyline recognizes it. I can just choose re-import original file, and there we go. So that's one of those housekeeping items that you're going to want to look for before you publish your final course for review. Anything with a yellow icon right there indicates that the file has been changed. So you just need to go through and re-import and just continue re-importing. Now this is also true for any audio and video files that you've changed. So maybe audio, you had some pickup audio or you redid it because you needed to clean up the background audio a little bit or some of the background noise. So you'd also see the same thing for any audio clips. I don't have any that have changed right here, but you'd also see that little yellow indicator right next to the file. Now it's possible, let's come down here to a couple others and bring these in. Notice that for each of these images that have that icon, I also have access to the folder right here. So I could pop open the folder and quickly locate that particular image. Sometimes though, let me come back in, you'll notice that some of these don't have access to the folder. So I just got to click through a few. Here we go. In this iStock image right here, notice how the folder is grayed out. That essentially, that just means that the original media can't be found. So either maybe the folder has been moved, or you've relocated, maybe moved machines, or you deleted it from that folder. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that Media Library no longer knows where that original file is that was inserted into Storyline. So there's not much you can do there other than export the file if you want to make sure that you have a backup of it. So if you don't have access to that folder, that's just what Media Library is telling you. Now finally, for characters, if I just pull open the characters, you can export characters as PNG files, but they're not hosted or placed, right? They're not external to Storyline. They're all from Content Library. So you're not going to re-import a character in there. You can swap the character, of course, for a different character, but you're not going to see access to re-import them because they've changed outside of Storyline. The only time you might see that next to a character is if you have a character that's already been exported as a PNG file and you need to replace that character's image. Whether it's a character that you exported as a PNG from Content Library, or maybe you have your own character assets that you're using in your course. All right, well, that's how you can verify and re-import any assets that have changed since you initially inserted them into Storyline. Just keep an eye out for that yellow icon indicating that there's a newer version of the media. All right, so have you ever wondered why some of your media assets, your audio, your images, your video, they'll stick around in Media Library after you delete them while others just disappear completely? Listen, it's not random, it's not a bug, it just depends on how you brought those original assets into Storyline. So that's really what determines whether or not they're deleted. So let me show you what I mean. And this is probably one of those questions that comes up most frequently. So I have this image of a cyclist. I'm just going to right click and find this in Media Library. So come down here, Media Library, just so I can see it. Now, the image right here is on the slide. If I delete it, it may or may not delete from my Media Library. I would like to know if it is. I can see down here that I have a folder which tells me I know at least where I brought this into the course, but notice how I can't delete the image from my slide. Well, if I select the image right here on the slide and delete it, it's gone. It's removed from Media Library. So if I don't know where that image is, if I don't know necessarily where it came from, I really don't have a way to get it back unless, of course, I go find it or search for it. So I'm going to undo that. So why did that one delete? Well, here's why. Let me say, let's do it this time. I'm going to delete the image, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the image in to Media Library from Media Library. I'm not going to insert it on the slide. I'm actually just going to import images into Media Library. So we talked about that earlier on, where as a best practice, sometimes batch importing a bunch of images into your course is actually a really smart way, because now you make them available. If I bring it into my course from the import picture from file, and I go find cyclist right here, there it is, I open it. Notice how I brought it into Media Library, but it's not being used at all. If I insert it on the slide, now it's being used once, and there it is on the slide. However, because I imported this image into Media Library first, if I press delete, it's gone on the slide, but it's not gone from Media Library. So Media Library is going to hold on to that. So if you have images that you want to make always available, even though you're not sure where to use them, or you're going to delete them from the slide, use the import to Media Library feature first. Get your library stocked with all those images, and then if you have to delete it from the slide because you don't want to use it there, you still have access to it. However, any images that you brought directly into your slide will disappear when you insert them. So let's say beach right here. We'll go find beach, and I don't really know necessarily how I brought this image in, but if I select it down here and I press delete and it disappears, then I know that it was an image I just inserted on the slide. So if I don't know where that image is, then I'm going to have to find something else to replace that. So the key is, if you know that you want the images to remain, select import, load up your Media Library with those images, and then you can insert them, delete them, and they're going to remain on the slide. Now let's undo that real quick. I'm going to come back. Let's see if I can't bring that image back. Maybe I have to click the slide. There we go. That should put that image back on my slide. Yeah. So if I want to delete this image, I can't delete this one or any other image if it's in use. So if it's on the slide, it's being used somewhere, you'll see that the trash can icon in the bottom right corner for deleting the files is grayed out, disabled. So there's no way for us to delete something that's in use, and that's actually super helpful. So if I wanted to remove this from my course, I would need to first go and replace that with a different image. Now, deleting graphics or assets from your library is actually really helpful. So what I usually do before I turn in a demo or a project, it's not unusual for me to have 20, 30 images down here at the bottom that all have zero uses. I mean, I just didn't use them. I thought I would, I didn't. So I might select them all with them selected and then just press delete to clean up my library. But just keep that in mind. The same thing holds true for audio files. If you bring in the audio file from the import, audio from file, record mic, however you generate it, but if you're generating it from within Media Library, those files will be persistent even if you remove them from your Media Library. All right, well, there you have it. That's one of the most common questions that comes up from users about Media Library, is why some images or graphics or audio files remain in the library and others don't. So now you know how that works. If you play a lot of Storyline Jeopardy or trivia, that's a good one to save for the bonus round, because a lot of folks don't know that, but you do, and that's what's important. All right, so this next tip is all about creating reusable brand templates using nothing but a blank slide and a packed Media Library. So you have course templates that you can make, but templates usually have a look and feel. There's a certain design to the template, and that may not be what you want, but you might find yourself repeatedly searching for things like the same logos, the same videos, or brand elements that you use across courses. So this is one of those beyond the basics type use cases for Media Library, but let me show you how this works here. All right, so I'm starting here in a brand new project. I haven't even saved the project file yet, so we know we don't have anything in here. Let's open up Media Library, and then we'll just load this up with some common graphics and audio files. Let me minimize that, and we'll just work with some icons first. So here's some icons that I'm using all the time. I'm going to drag that in here to images, come back over, maybe some illustrations as well. And so all I'm doing is just loading this up with common elements that would be used in the courses that I build. Now, it doesn't matter really how many assets I have in here. At some point, it could start to add additional file size. However, when I build my project, I could always come in here and then select anything that's not in use and delete them afterwards, right? So I still have that option to remove any unused elements. So let's say some notification and alerts. We'll bring in some common button sound effects, maybe 4 or 5 alerts. Just select them. You gotta really like the drag and drop right here. This makes it so fast and efficient. All right, there's my audio files, and then I think I probably have maybe a video in here that I could use. So I'm just gonna bring in whatever I want. I'm gonna save this as a team slide and make this available. All right, so everything's in there. Got a lot of images, got some audio. If I had some characters that I like to include all the time, I could just add them here into Media Library, but I'll just leave that blank for now. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to save this project. I don't even need to save it to my desktop, but I think it's probably a good idea to do that. So I'll just say Control S real quick, and then I'll just call this Branding Kit, because I may want to make some modifications to it later, make some updates to it based on elements that I need. I'll click Save. Okay, so I saved it to my desktop, but I need to make this available now in Media Library. So we just come up to Slides, Team Slides, and Share Project or Share Selected Slides. It's really not going to make a difference here. So I could just say Share Selected Slide, and that pops open the Add Team Slides. So I've got Branding Kit. I can just take this part off. I may want to date it though. You may want to put the current date, so that users will know, when this was last updated, and I'll just click Add. So this is uploading to my Teams account, and which means everyone on my Teams account will have access to it. Now I have a new project right here, and the way I can access all of those assets is if I begin a new project from Team Slides. If I create a new project and then insert the Team Slide, all those unused assets will not be included. So that's a really important choice right here, right? If I want to leverage all of those brand assets, I need to start with the Team Slides, meaning that it's going to have the right dimensions that I want to use. It doesn't have to have all the colors and themes and fonts, although it probably should. But now if I select that Branding Kit, Insert, or Create Project, all those images and sound effects and the video that I added will be available. So I don't see anything here on the slide, but let's take a look at Media Library and look at this, images, look at all those, ready to go. So for a further step that I may want to take is if I am setting up my slide in a certain way all the time, just to give myself even more of a head start, is I would want to say design my colors, my fonts, make those choices right here and get those set up. But the bigger, I think, win right here is having all of those media assets available to me. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them all. And when I finish the project, I could always go in and remove any unused items as well, so I don't have to keep those in there. But when I'm building a project, if I know I'm going to use these sort of things all the time, let's just get them in there to begin with, rather than having to import them and go through those steps each time. Anyway, so that's just a quick way to streamline collaboration and especially asset management using Media Library to do really as a branding kit or a common element kit. Just remember, the key is though, when you begin a new project, you want to begin a new project from Team Slides rather than inserting a Team Slide into your project later. Because if you do that, it won't be any of those elements in there. But if you begin the new project from the slide, all unused elements will come on over, and that'll just give you everything you need. All right, now usually Storyline Media Library is all about getting our assets into the project, right? But some assets like recorded audio or AI-generated images, AI-generated audio, content library, videos, images, icons, illustrations, those exist nowhere else but inside your project file. If you lose your file or something happens to your file, your story file, you're toast. And that's exactly why backing up your assets is so important. And Media Library is going to make this so much easier. Also, it's like a bonus tip or a pro tip. When you export your assets, it also gives you a really nice, tidy way to organize everything in a package for your clients or customers. So you can take all the images from your course, audio, video, export it into nice folders, and then you've got a backup of all the media. You can use that as a handoff for your client or just as an organization for the next time you work on that project. So let me show you how this works right here. So here in my project file, we have View Media Library, so we'll pull that open. Now I would do this not just at the end of the project. I'd consider doing this at certain milestones during development, because depending on how much work and how many assets you're creating within Storyline, you may want to have weekly or bi-weekly export just to make sure you have everything, especially like recording audio. But you can just come right here and you just do a Control A to select everything, head on down to the bottom right corner, and then we could say export. Now, I always liked doing this, whether I was working in Storyline or even other products, to give our client or a customer all of those media assets, just pull them out of the course for the client so they have them in a really nice, organized way. So maybe I'll make a folder called, backup. Might even put a date on it if I'm creating multiple versions. And right now I'm doing images, so let's make an image folder, images, and open that up, and then just choose select folder. And all of those, look at that, are nicely exported. You have a backup of them. Then I do the same thing for audio. I'd go into my audio files, Control A, select everything, down the bottom, export, and then we'll put these into an audio folder. But it's a really fantastic way for your clients to, or even you, to have a nice organized backup of all of your project files. So that's another reason you're going to want to back these up. But again, just remember, if you're creating a lot of media within Storyline using AI Assistant, Content Library, or maybe even just creating your own graphics and then saving them out as PNG files to use, back those up so you have them and they're outside of Storyline where everything is safe. All right, well, that's how you can back up and export your assets from Media Library in just a few clicks. Remember, it's not only just a good idea to do that to safeguard your own work, but it's also a nice gesture to deliver that clean, organized handoff for your clients. All right, folks, that's it. We've covered a lot of tips to master Storyline's Media Library, whether you knew some already or maybe you discovered something new today. I hope you found some new ways to get even more out of Media Library. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time.